ready to go. So the next should be yours. Yeah. This one?
Yeah. Right, welcome everybody. Today's lecture. I'm working with the wet lab, and we have an email list here. Does anybody know what the wet lab is? Or have you been through email what wet lab is before? Well, we're a group that does basically we run the lecture series here in La Jolla, and we also run a lecture series downtown. And Dr. Cipollini is actually giving both of our talks at both libraries this month. We're very lucky. So we have the first Tuesday of every month here in La Jolla, the third Thursday of every month down in downtown at the Central Library. And then we also run programs here. How many of you guys here in the library? Yeah, so also there. So the first Saturday we do a workshop in using the facility here. So you're welcome to join us for any and all of these types of events. The web lab itself also has this downtown inside the Fab Lab, which is amazing. And so it's a place where people can come and learn, explore more about biology to some extent, broader scale than what we can do here in the small lab in the library. So we have an email list which I'll pass around, and there's also a little card here that has a little bit more information about the wet lab. So you're welcome to join the email list. Basically, we just send out emails sort of once a month and let you know what the lectures and workshops are going to be. So I'll pass this around. And we also have a container up here for donations. We run off of donations, so if you would like to give anything for that, we would very much appreciate it. And so we do programs for into the public libraries, and very excited to have a great level, very diverse from all areas of biology. Mostly biology, but we branch out. So please be telling you about
That's okay. My mom help her out. Working mom. Technology for that. It's a postdoctoral and so I work in the computer science study brain. So I use computers to model brain and data to extract information about how brain works. And so next topic is how do I use like that's available on you so you can do similar to what I'm doing. This down. So for today, I want to talk about the topic that inspired me to go to grad school and to all the work done. It's a treatment, and not the human brain, but the human brain. This is the most crucial room of the human brain. So what inspired me is the mind, right? The mind, so we start the brain, we hear something, and when I actually experience, I feel like I have this thing, like this big brain, big eyes, and I'm doing something, I'm a whole being. But underneath the covers, actually this is the record. Mind comes from two pathways. Biology, like this. And in most people, they are actually connected. They are much connected than realize neurons and meld together. People And so, what I think about how we are things, the half brain is different. Does that mean? Where does that come from? Let's say those things, and in the end, what does it mean, right? So it's kind of important, more than just my purpose behind stuff. Some people think these differences between the left and right sides of the brain, the fact that they cannot operate independently, this is what distinguishes from all species. So we can talk about that. But like any good scientist, I'm going to skip right to the end and tell you everything, tell you right now. So where you can see why I see these things, I'll repeat them at the end and go. Yeah. So the fourth size are fundamentally two halves. Second, the human are also different in important forms, randomly. They're different things we think makes human. The differences are found to varying degrees across the kingdom, not exclusive to humans. Humans are the only ones that have differences from its brain. Certainly not the animal with segregated brains. And finally, speculation in this is actually connections between the two sexes. The fact that they're separate, not that they're different, but those interactions is an important thing for understanding how we become us. All right. Let's see. Do close this little one. In the book later. All right. Numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to read up to the first and two sides of the fundamentally. Well, first of all, they are separated. So here's like I think these will squish. There's going to be a lot of brains that some will be line and a lot of them will be pictures. This thing is on the size of a train. So an actual two cerebral hemispheres. And actually, the only reason they're not completely coming apart is that white band in the middle is the corpus callosum. That's a huge apparatus. It's connected to the left and right. And this. And this is one of the things I ask in my own search. These connections in most of these is cross between two sides of the brain. What's interesting is it's not, I mean, as you can see from being most of them are not connected. It's just these circle represent places where there are left and right connected everywhere else just connected. Maybe tip again, right? It looks like actually you just pull them apart. These areas in the giant corpus called the left and right brain are connected. Like it when okay. It's not even the brain that's connected on the left side. This is fundamental of the entire nervous system. So here I'm showing the receptors in your hands and arms, right? So you've got touch receptor, temperature and pain receptor, this thing called proprioceptus. When you close your eyes, you still know where your hands are in space. That's proprioception. Actually crossed at this circle they stay, comes on the right side and then crosses right here. Nowhere else. Just right there. And actually comes in, crosses the spinal cord, and then through. Very specific. And it's just those places. It's a uncontrollable nervous system. That holds just for touch, that for audition, that holds you for the motor of the left is controlled by the right. My right hand is controlled by the left of the brain. There's a whole crossing system, and those cross the specific is also a brainstem. In addition, it's not just anatomical differences, there's functional differences. So the ease is the dolphin. The dolphin's got eyes on the left and right sides of its head. So each eye kind of sees just the left side of space and the right side of space. There's no overlap in the middle where, the left side can see a little bit of the right. And so this is the simple case where the information from the left eye, the left visual field information, and that crosses over, crossing as well the brain crosses over to the right of the brain. Blue on the left crosses to the right. The right side crosses over to the left. Now it's a totally weird, different story for primates and humans that have 4 of the X, right? Our eyes get information from the face. So I can tell this if I close one eye and then my head, my eye doesn't, I can still see it. So, right, so my eye is getting information from both sides. So if I just get full crossover thing, the left hand have both information. So if it's architecture that matters, it would just cross. Actually, the primate is something that makes half of the retina information from one side and half of the retina information from the other, so half of the eye information from both sides, and recombines them so you get this left brain corresponds to the right side again. Even though it's missing the eyes, it's like the brain is all separated. The left side of the brain is the right side of it, and the right brain. It's gymnastics to separate things, not just dummy, anatomical system. It's the function that matters. And so if I demo this, if you flash something to the left side of space, it's going to go to the right side. If I flash something to the right side of space, it's going to go to the left side of the brain. In the middle, and half is going to be side, right? So when you look at me staring at my nose, half of my face was one, half of the face was the other, and some along the process you got to be combined by the Now, do you feel that, right? Like, is that part of your experience? Because it's not part of mine, but it's pretty interesting. The thing about why left, right are different, or we have 2 half brains, is that if you lose one of them, it's not like you still work, right? So here's a little story. One of the brains removed, and that was problematic for a while. She couldn't speak, she couldn't move. And then by age 7, if you read this, she has some spasticity in the outside arm, leg, none of these normal. Okay, so that's pretty good. This year, if that happened to us, we're dull, it's not going to be the case, and worse off. But in kids, half brains can do a lot. Right? So, in addition, if you go into surgery, they want to right functions. They can actually put one of the sides of your brain to sleep. They just inject sodium barbital. It's called the water test. They inject the chemical into one carotid artery that goes to one side of your brain. Raise your hand, they inject that, they raise your right hand, and your hand goes down, means your side falls asleep. If they put the left side, actually stop talking, just on the left side speak, we'll get there. It's not like you suddenly feel like you become another person, or you just drive down to the earth at the moment, like you're still you. So these brains are able to function independently. Like if you disconnect the 2 sides, you get 2 minds. Now that's a little weird. And yeah, but sometimes if you have epilepsy on one side of the brain, it spreads to the other side, you will lose consciousness and you'll hurt yourself severely. And if you can't control and cut the connections, in that at least one of the hemispheres would stay awake and you would over and have severe damage for epilepsy. So there are patients that have study this in screen research to see what happens when you just remove those connections. And so here's JB, like famous patient, and who's in this stripy sweater that I love. And then there's Micah, world famous research for doing split research. And I'm just gonna talk about his experience. Let's try.
So just want to see. Ready? All right. Good. Focuses on a point. Everything is stage. So we can see here that when we flash the word here, see, close your eyes and let's do. Yeah. Now, where the picture falls to the left of the picture goes is the right half of the brain. And we see here, Joe is able to draw the picture with his left hand. The left hand is measure control from the brain. What do you see?
So it's like, what did you see? Well, I saw a wheel drive your car. And later in this, he'll ask me, he draws a song with his left hand. Like, why'd you draw that? I was like, I don't know. Yeah. And at the beginning of it, you can see how close to kind of all the resources used for this and the slides and everything. Says, yeah, they kind of mean the two, and they say they're different, it's all the same. And before I came along, you know, like, what's different with these? Separate the two, it seems all the same. But actually, yeah, let the right hand can think, and there's two different entities, one just of the other, but they're both responding. The left right hand are also going to like compete each other for like which was where they you show really emotional stimuli to left and right side, you may get from responses like if you flash a picture of a woman, one side find it offensive, the other might laugh. Again, left and right side can show different levels of motivation, and which is just the conclusion that you really have to define just one of them doesn't have to speak. So if you're interested in that, example you saw in that new book, how is working with split and page specifically. It's fascinating. I've got all sorts of stories in it. So those are the reasons they okay. Left right side. They basically separate. They separate between the right side space. If you lose half, like one still works really well, and disconnected to, it seems like you get another. Okay. Any questions so far? Yes. Mm-hmm. So important to know that we know. I don't know how does it work. Ask me. I don't know.
say,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's very rare for split patient to learn to speak on the right time. Right. Just have to. So I'll talk about the differences in yeah. You just have to have functions.
There have been some conjoinments.
Mm-hmm. Right. I think it's really highly specific to the situation. I searched for the MRI images in the cases. It was hard to get good data for that.
I understand the learning drive.
Mm-hmm.
But answering like co-op.
Yeah, I think each just like each control or like just the more it's really controlled by one side of it, but like not controlled by both. It's a brain I think have control over each can fight for control. Yeah, but yeah. So okay, I think I want to keep saying questions. I think I want. Okay. Right. Totally agree. Yeah, it's one of those like tricks. I talk about minds. I do computational neuroscience. Like I studied in philosophy, and I just wasn't happy. It felt like all talk and not a lot of science. Like not even neuroscience, computational neuroscience, like the theoretical side of neuroscience. Completely agree. For people who think in terms of minds, it's hard to argue and so the researchers say, no, there's evidence of this. Yeah, this sounds like sure. All right. So first thing I do is the two-sided brain. They're separate. You actually do half brain. Don't forget one only. Second is that the two sides are different. So anatomically, they're different. You can see it well on the picture. Look here. The language area in this temporal is much larger on the left side on average, the right side. So we've got this weird fatality. Frontal one of your brain sticks out a little bit, and the left back of your brain sticks out a little bit. But this I'm this is actually some of my own research. If you map from the left and right to look at differences, asymmetries between them. So red means big on the left, blue means bigger on the right, and white means no difference. All I can show you here is that there's a lot of red and blue, not a lot of white, a lot of differences. And we don't necessarily know, of course, not both things. Active variable research is why I'm doing that. Easier stuff is to talk about the functions. We know that the side of the brain is much better for like fine motor skills, right? That's why we throw with right, let's throw with right, or right with our right, or swing with our right, or kick with right for better learning, really fine motor catch. 89% of people across cultures. Same thing with skills. So again, if you connect left and right hemispheres, only the left side is going to respond. The first instance of was a patient from Colbro who had a patient who could only speak a single syllable. This person seemed like what they were listening, right? And seemed to be able to communicate in other ways, not utter any syllable. The patient looked at his brain was a left hemisphere damage. Area called Broca's area after the found it. If you stay on the right, you won't have seen deficit. opposite for spoken language. And again, right sided up here in the parietal lobe, if you have damage in your parietal lobe, do something called left neglect on the an original picture. And the patient with this right parietal damage, really copy picture. They copy everything on the right side of the image and ignore everything else out of the image. It's not that they can't see it. It's like don't notice this there. I mean, in the center is a picture of a face. On the left side and right hand are half that picture, so on the right side is the face, on the left side of the face. So you share original face, and you show them the two chimeric face duplicates. You just do which one is more like the original face. And by and large, they have a bias for the left edge. It's left side bias, and it's because they're processing faces in the right hemisphere. So left side crosses the brain, and your right side, you can see a little bit more activation. It's not the greatest spectrum, but more active when you watch this faces in the right hemisphere. You have right hemisphere specialties for faces, left hemisphere reading words. Okay. And there's all sorts of those reasoning, emotional processing, calculating, all there between left hemisphere. All human specific functions. And when I think of human, I think of language, I think of handedness, I think of reasoning. Those are the major things I think of in human specific. You see the bilateral changes. But why? It's important or not. But again, it's some indication that this might be something really. Okay. Any questions on that part? They tend to be less asymmetric. They can be more symmetric in their function. Yeah. You can also get weird. I mean, yeah, just let's see much. Okay. So I've told things so far. I told you the left and right side. Differently. They are actually left and right sides are also actually pretty different. When that's the question, but maybe the two sides different, right? So from a point through the 1980s, just humans have little right side. Like huge, left claw. A whole bunch of functional and anatomical asymmetries across the animal kingdom. I'm just going to couple. So at number 4, bottom left, that's some kind of primate catching fly left hand. Turns out that left right is better for motion, and these are left hand connected to things. Tend to have a left to right, and that's all of them do, because if some of them prefer to turn left and some of them prefer to turn right, it doesn't work, right? The schooling just doesn't work. They have differences in how they, which are holding them and stuff to balance what they do. Just a whole book of these things that have been documented, even like B and C. More related to, so to me, this indicates that we can actually look at animals and get some information about us, right? Like, it's just humans, we can only think. And so when people started to look at apes, we actually start finding similarities to humans. So, you know, on the right side here, you see an ape that's trying to get a tree to using the left hand. Actually, by and large, these numbers that I've shared here, if it's larger than one, it means over the entire population, there's a right hand, you know, benefit or bias. This one is a left hand bias. So this, or you just hear left-handed, most of them actually are for whatever reason. The right-handed dominant. If you look on the left side, it's really, so in the humans, there's two blocks. So language areas, one's for spoken language, that interconnects them. That then has a much larger left hemisphere, where your language is stronger than the right hemisphere. And actually, if you look at it, it's the same. Should also have a stronger band of fibers, the left is right, even though it's spoken language. You, however, have vocalizations. Some of the vocalizations are social, and it's thought those are the vocalizations that actually drive this. Now, clear, again, it's just like the handedness in apes is not as strong in humans. This difference in the brain is strong in humans, but it's been there already in animal kingdom. So at the end, we do certain influences to asymmetries. Emphasis. So 80 ticks, whichever. Usually the egg is the other eye is, I think it's left eye before they hatch. And that actually causes one side to be better at discriminating, seeds versus pebbles. If you flip them, if you just the eggs get laid them all, right? And the just the one that's better for mating. Now, before you stick on that, one of the reasons a human may be better for language in the left hemisphere is if there's a radiator, right? Most of the left side is closer to the belly, so has more access to mother sounds in the womb. Anything the hands of the right hand is more free to move around the room. And there's some environmental and more. So those out there, even for I don't think you can do that. The theory is that your body is actually highly asymmetric, right? Your heart's on another, maybe this has asymmetry in the brain actually. So your autonomic nervous system, part of the nervous system that's responsible for like your surprise fight or flight response. That is different. It's different left and right sides. You see connectivity differences from the brain that are asymmetric. You read information from that from the something from there, but it's also possible their heart is on the right side and I guess the left on the other side. Like you have a complete flip of the two sides, but you don't see a flip in their brain asymmetry overall. So there may be some relationship between them. I'm not going to explain. There's some other ideas out there that are hard to prove. So like, well, why would you want to have sides of the brain the same, right? Like just replicating the function, make them different, and then you can trace as much stuff. I think the match piece, like, Mac is really good at and the PC is really good at like viruses or I don't know. I'm a computer scientist. I'm making jokes, but sorry. If to activating with both your hands, it would take long. Some transfer, and when you practice something one side, you learn something the other side, it's not completely transferable. It's about specializing on one side. Maybe you only have to not quite as much. So there's a benefit, and here one thing on the animal, but practice. So there's a benefit there that we convert to skill. Okay, do it time. Because I can't see it.
You and the radio.
Yeah. Starfish. See, I have a slide in here now because I don't have time for that. So they're amazing. They have symmetry in their brain. I'm sure the brain is crazy. They are quickly. So smart did everything different, but you have symmetry within the brain. They also have a very distributed system, so I feel like almost half or even half of the neurons are just in their arms. It's highly distributed. If you cut their arm off, it will go on. And they'll try and bring it back to the mouth, but fine. For starfish, you actually have they have 5 arms and they have a circle and 5 arms. It's completely different. Invertebrates are completely different. Flies on my side. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay. That's awesome. Right. So, yeah, I've heard dolphins do that. I didn't know birds do that. That makes a lot of sense from what you're saying. Birds don't actually have this huge disclosure. That's special to central mammals. So, you in a minute, we don't have it. It's huge benefit between the 2 hemispheres. They don't have it. They have all those problems. So yeah, their hemispheres are much less connected. Also, what we think of as a visible to mammals, so like cerebral cortex proper. But even though bird song is localized to the left, strongly localized to the left. So I would have expected to be more symmetric, right? When they're more connected, because when you can't share information, you kind of got to solve the path alone. Just to work out. All three interesting cases. Maybe I'll present what's going to sit here and then try and get back to it. Some of what I said will help make sense. Okay. So I can get to the end. So yeah, so the most interesting thing of this is those connections that bind the 2 sides together. One of the things I read in student is how different mammalian brains differ. The thing and how different. And I was going to make my whole talk basically about this, and I was like, well, it's a little mathematical and it gets dry, but fascinating. Mammalian brain span of 5 orders of magnitude, like the size of a pencil eraser, like the size of a small dog. This is the brains of mammals. No other order or thing that has something to do like the understanding of how mammalian brains are constructed. Since the large order of magnitude, and if you can look carefully, or if you see that things are really different, it's not just that their sizes. You don't just take a small brain and stretch it to a big brain. So I just stretch a small brain, and it's different than that large human brain is special in a way. It's actually not. It just follows the same pattern of how you get from a small brain to a large brain, because these are physical things that you have to change things to speed it up. Work. Most important that change from small brains at the bottom there, connective tissue gets explosive. So it's less than 10%. So underneath this pinkish mass on the left is white matter. It comes from that pink sheet, like a sheet, connecting from one sheet to the other. The tension is less than 10% of the volume in this tiny number set. In humans, it's over 40%. And the whole reason, one of the major reasons you get wrinkles on that is so that the sheet get closer together, so that the connections can be shorter. Because it's really hard to consider what these need. The connections are like how the brain moves. Have to happen. And so, in larger brains, you actually have less left communication, because these these are longer connections in the brain, you just can't afford that volume. You have to pack in. So you can better in more short than if long ones. And so they can left, right, said this less communication frees to be set to difference. So that bigger should be more independent and have more left and right differences. This is the argument. I have the intuition that this is the total wrong thing. That if you are addicted, you specialize, right? If you specialize in one thing, it's like if I'm really good at computers, right? But I don't know how much, and some food, like I'm in trouble. I'm all alone. I can't find others, and I have to solve everything myself. The story didn't mean too much to me. First, we have the asymmetries. People who are born without a band of fibers, they're still asymmetric. Their left and right communication, typical development increases. Asymmetry also increases development. So we actually went back, and I'm not going to tell you all the analysis we did, that they're good, and we think it's actually that the connections are some of the most important in the brain. It's regard the brain size. And now I'll just tell you why I think that makes sense. First of all, as I mentioned, this here, the corpus callosum, is its right? It's not in birth, even a mass like the wallaby, or it's innovation for purpose. Yeah, it's by far not like it's small human. It's by far the largest of fibers. When you look at activity left and right, a lot of newer studies show that these are some of the left and right sides correspond are active. Yeah, they're very frequent. And finally, interesting, again, from the very beginning, I didn't show you IJW, things don't seem different. Right? You cut the left and right sides. There, I don't feel anything. Now, to me, that doesn't say that they're independent. Actually, it tells me that for some functions, like visual functions, the two stop cooperating. It's like nice, like the thing on. But actually, for control, the left side don't play nice, and actually, the left side tries to dominate the right side. This my Dr. Gazanikis theory. About how to they're not equal function, they're not playing together, they're sharing information equivalently. That in many cases is something subservient. So much more consistent with this kind of picture where those fibers are important in humans and can lead to this kind of thing, whereas other theories it doesn't make sense. Humans all create kind of the least amount of action. They should just ignore each other. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So once I say,
and so a lot of people, I think, that are out there from, so I do neural network modeling. So I implement brains, put connection, and I don't section or in a lot of cases, you decide, well, two parts of the side can collaborate with each other. These are the opposite as well as collaborate with each other. Even if they specialize, one just knows how the other works. So they figure out how it works together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's no, I agree. There's definitely cases where they cooperate, like visual, and there are cases where they don't cooperate, where there's motor action is actually a very clear case where one side is just definitely hitting. Yeah. If you have, there are also cases where you have one hemisphere, the other is like actively sending over stress, and then you just have to shut it down to try and recover the other side. So there are definitely yes. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing it as an adult. So if I have a injury to my corpus callosum, how does that affect the connections between the sides? So it's called an upright. The back corpus callosum interconnects the back part of the brain. The front of the corpus callosum connects the front part of the brain. So you damage the back side of the brain. That's a visual. Might be slower at responding to visual stimuli that require information from both sides. But the two hemispheres can know information at a kind of later age. There's a lot of ways to compensate. If you cut the whole thing, damage the whole thing, then you'll be a split thing. So you just kind of things on the right side, things on the left side, you don't see them. You can either exist in half or be proportion. Does that answer your question? More or less. All right, I'll take it. Okay. So, yeah, I don't have anything more to say, just to recap things that I plus now. As the brain are fundamentally separated, they are also different. These are the human. But for me, it's actually the interconnections between the two sets that's kind of most interesting and important for understanding what we've done, how we are. Okay, thank you. So, like, you find all the information in the slides, and you can just, if you want to know more questions. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, got it.
But if you think that one of the areas is special position in the left, right? That's the left, right? More about doing regular activity, concentrating, be done doing tasks, social works, all things. And then the right side is the watch out, the one that's watching for danger, or
right,
looking for something to go wrong.
Right.
And that if and then the conclusion or the idea that came from it is true, then in a society where constantly where things are potentially stressful, we tend to and then if we could find time to concentrate on do something, might find ourselves happy.
Okay. So, okay, there's definitely, I don't know how to summarize the question. Is kind of like, is it the case the left side of the brain does more of the everyday things, and the right side of the brain does like quick actions, fight or flight response, the lookout. And if so, are there consequences to that? So definitely some of those things. I'm nervous, activity. Yes, this is the most important thing. This explains some things. But yeah, so the right side of the brain more connected to better flight, so that danger lookout, that issue. Now, you have to be careful. It's not like left side and that is not. It's the bias there. Side is more connected to the your sympathetic and parasympathetic. I don't know which goes with it, but yeah, it's more connected to the opposite, which is more about like eating behavior, sexual arousal, those kinds of like behaviors. You know, like, oh my god, you know, what am I gonna do? So that part, there's definitely something. I remember reading that one of the sides is movements, and the other is better at learning movements. Although I can't remember how that goes. That was. I don't, but I have a good friend who studies depression, whom stuff, and I will ask. Yeah, yeah. So if you email me to remind me, I would be happy to talk to and find that out. So it's interesting. On the science, yeah, beyond the facts, I'm not sure what to say. Definitely, depression is a problem. Not the fact, just like to question. My research. So it's just in our lab, the visual problem. We use neural networks, so kind of like simulate brains to do visual system condition. I'm interested in why the right hemisphere likes faces and why the left hemisphere is nice for birds, and like just really small details. So it's really hard to figure out. You can't just slice the things because they're expensive. It takes forever to do it, and you know what you're looking for. Is it cells? Is it the amount of tissue? Is it like big expression? Even if you know how what explains, you know, I love like visual function. So we build models of visual function, and we make our left visual model from it. And then we see if the difference in the model can explain the visual behavior. Yeah. So we models that we build, our assumption there's some evidence that the right side of the brain starts developing, starts a little bit earlier than the left side, and you can get a lace symmetry. Yeah. I understand. I can go. Some people would argue that the left hemisphere is like this baby shaped side. It's really good. That can't be right. That's kind of your option here. And the right side is better at low frequency, just blur and fade. Processing things with fine discrimination, just very rough and ready, is faster than burning. It's also the state response. So one way to look at it, maybe right hemisphere to specialize for fight or flight. You want to know something moving very quickly. You know, there are a lot of stuff out there, and it's hard to prove. But the best one that I come up with for this kind. Yeah. So this one the thing. How two hemispheres interact, and then you have all these symmetries across the brain. They all asymmetric in this part, the front part of the left and that asymmetric anywhere else. Do they completely public data? And I'll actually talk about that in my next talk. I thought, yeah. People feel compelled to something. Yeah. Right. So yeah, there's in the popular literature, I guess the most popular way to think of asymmetric brain is like the left side is logical and the right side is creative, right? And there are tests online to try and show, like, do you see the spinning figure, and if you see it rotate one way, that means you're trying it rotate the other way. Does anybody say that stuff crazy? Yeah. So So in every popular kind of thing, there's some kernel of scientific truth, and I can tell you about that. And then beyond that, it's hard. Actually, I can say a little bit more. Yeah. So the original kernel, some of it comes from some visual function. So, like I think the hemisphere tends to see things more globally, like a whole just all. Reference great TED talk by a neurobiologist had a stroke. Left hemisphere strokes, or left hemisphere went out. She described her experience as a right hemisphere. Bolt Taylor, and it's amazing. She talks about feeling. She leaned up against the wall of the shower. She was having a stroke, and she felt the difference, like the separation, the feeling that her hand was different than the wall of the shower, just melted away. So this feelings of kind of separation, segregation, value is strong on the left, the right process things more holistically or in shapes. That's true. Beyond that, I don't really know. However, a lot of artists tend to be left-handed, and the whole pattern that I'm talking about today is very much driven by that, right-handed. So language laterals for left-handers, everything just looks different. And in most studies, you exclude left-handers because the patterns you see. And well, I mean, this is the same reason that most studies only use male subjects, because women are, you have to, like, they're not the same. You got to choose one to get the cell, right? And so, and a lot of things women have been excluded as subjects, like health-related stuff, and it's coming back to haunt us. So yeah, so a lot of places say we need right-handed, under this age, blah blah blah. To be very specific, just to be able to study it. So a lot of ours are left-handed, and the patterns of vitalization tend to be pretty different in left-handers. For very strong left-handers, things are a little bit more consistent, but in many cases you'll just see kind of mixed. What are lefties are actually very mixed group, so just not as strong as right-handers. So not a great answer, but that's the best stuff I can give you. Question.
It seems to me that the thing on doing your brain, sometimes the brain could be working on how to actually being on the side of the case is sweating away, the other side won't be doing so much. And that seems to me that that's really needs more sleep. So it's sort of back to normal. Is there any evidence that the sleep is a bit more one side of the brain than the other?
So I would start with the good. I would say your relationship between working hard, brain working hard, and sleep is the right one. So as recent studies show that sleep, one of the important functions of sleep is like cleaning away bad metabolites from your brain, right? However, I would be very reluctant to say that one side of the brain works harder than the other. It's hard because you look at a lot of neuroimaging studies, and even the one I showed you, it's like, yes, the right side of the brain is lighting up more for faces than the left side, right? I would still hesitate to, and that is actually not brain activity. That is blood flow from the need for glucose, because that part of the brain is working hard. I would be hard pressed to argue. I've not seen any evidence that over the length of a day, that one side of the brain would consume more activity, nor have I heard anything from the sleep literature that there's differences. But to be honest, I don't feel like I can argue strongly against your idea because of the way people interpret this kind of neuroimaging stuff. So I think that's worthwhile for me to look into. In the back. Oh, right. Okay. So let me gather my thoughts. So one of the major theories out there is that the bigger the brain, the kind of smaller corpus callosum, the less important the transfers between the two sides. And you'll get asymmetry, and that the bigger the brain is, the more that effect will be. My research, so I've really addressed this problem I've looked at the data very closely, and my conclusions are very different. And the reason this matters is because people assume that cetaceans, which have huge brains, like sperm whale is like, if not the biggest brain, one of the biggest brains, and elephants just must have extraordinarily asymmetric brains and very independent brains. And I don't think the evidence is right about that. I think that cetaceans are a very special case. That cetaceans, I mean, they clearly have a tiny, tiny corpus callosum for the size of their brain, and that makes their hemispheres independent. And that allows them to do stuff like this unihemispheric sleep. So one side of the brain can sleep while the other stays awake, so they can do things like go up for air and breathe, and look out for predators. But I don't think there's any good evidence that that means that they're asymmetric, more or less asymmetric. I know some people have claimed that, but I think this idea of independence and this idea of asymmetry, we should just demix them. And so what's special about cetaceans is their hemispheres are very independent. That is very clear, and it's very cool. Yeah. Yes. Oh, no? This is not a question? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Make sure you weren't.
No. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. What? James, go.
But, so I was curious about you're using neural networks to simulate the brain.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could speak to the difference in levels in terms of like how many neurons you can simulate in a computer accurately versus like a real brain. In other words,
yeah,
are computers catching up? And at what point will the internet wake up and
Sure. So, okay, interesting question. I was writing a blog post about this stuff. People worry about this, like Stephen Hawking worries about this. Elon Musk, who's one of my heroes, worries about this stuff. I don't worry about this stuff. I don't think we're all that smart. And if we build something that's that smart, maybe they can solve all the messes that we made. I don't know. But I mean, Facebook and Google are using what are called deep neural networks, really big neural networks to do object recognition. So you feed in an image, and it will tell you out of 10,000 things that could be in that image, which 1 or 2 or 3 is in it. They can do automatic image labeling or captioning. So you feed in an image, and it will spit out a sentence of what it thinks is in that image. They're also what's driving the voice recognition on your phones. Yeah. So they can do a lot, and they're pretty big now. They are. I just wrote a paper for a review paper for Journal of Neuroscience. People are actually comparing neural networks to brains, these deep neural networks, because the visual processing system in the brain is kind of structured like a feed-forward neural network from one stage to the next to the next, and you can compare and you can see that the early stages in the brain and the early stages in the neural network show similar types of activation. Like if you had to say which one is, of this early layer in the brain, which one of these layers is most like it will pick the early one. There are some comparisons there, but it's far away. It's not realistic. Brains spike. So individual cells in the brain, neurons, they signal each other by shouting, by like hi, by just sending a 1 or a 0, a signal. The neural networks, they use numbers. They send out a number between 0 and infinity. It can be anything. Like it's just a different type of computation. People don't know how to work with those very strong on or off signals that the brain actually uses. The brain also uses time. It's also recurrent. So we have expectations about what's going to come, and neural networks don't do that. They just get an image, they process it, and they spit it out. It doesn't matter if it saw it 10 minutes ago.
Wait, are you saying that your research is completely invalid?
I would never say that. No. But I mean, neural networks are great, and I don't use neural networks for those types of things. Yeah, I use neural networks for more theoretical stuff, and so we try and make closer matches to the types of connectivity in our neural network and types of the connectivity in the brain, and make arguments, for better or for worse, why they're similar and why it's informative.
But are you at a point now where you can simulate like a significant portion of the brain with reasonable computer hardware? Or
so in my research, I don't need to simulate a large number of neurons to do that. So there, I mean, at this point, there's neuromorphic hardware. So there's hardware dedicated to like simulating a neuron, right? Because you can do it very low power. So Qualcomm's doing this. Oh, do we need to? Oh, okay, sorry. Qualcomm's doing this, IBM's doing this, and it's happening at Stanford. Lots of places want to do like silicone neurons because they're very low power. And actually Brain Corporation, which is on the 5 and 56, if you take the 5 exits to the 56, you'll see their big yellow orange sign, and they're trying to do robotics. They were trying to do it with spiking neural networks, so like realistic neural networks that can go on these neuromorphic chips. Now I think they're doing it with these less realistic systems. Bottom line is we can simulate some portion of the brain in real time, not even the size of a mouse brain, much smaller. But we're not at the point where that's the limiting factor to like solving real world problems. But I think these concerns that, you know, neural networks are going to like outsmart us all, we're not that close, and I don't feel like we're that smart anyway, so I don't worry about it. Yeah. Wouldn't that be, maybe they'd help us in the back.
You mentioned something about using, I guess, public, is that like crowdsourcing?
Oh, yeah.
Websites where they actually have to trace the twisted.
Right. So one of the most popular techniques for collecting data these days is called Amazon Mechanical Turk. Have you heard of it? Amazon Mechanical Turk. So Mechanical Turk is like this machine is supposed to, I don't remember what the machine was supposed to do, but it looks like it's this, what is it?
Play chess.
Play chess, yeah. It's supposed to be this robotic thing, but underneath the table is just some guy who's playing the game, right? So it looks like a machine, but it's actually people. And you can, Amazon exposes this interface where you can submit job, and it's, you know, you leave it there and you come back later and it's done. And it's like, you don't know who's doing it. Well, yeah, someone in the back end is doing it. Some people are there. And so that's not what I'm doing, but that is a thing. No, what I'm talking about is other researchers have collected data. They've spent tax dollars to collect data. And the neuroscience community is realizing that those data are expensive and should be shared with others so that we can reproduce their results, verify them, and then extend their results if we have our own ideas. I find data like that, and I have my own ideas about how I want to use them and leverage them. And so I build tools to try and make it easier for everybody else to get those data and do it, have at it with these data. These are our data, we paid for them. So that's what I was talking about with the public data stuff. Yeah.
Comment on how the intense use of electronic devices is to our brains and how the asymmetrical component gets affected by these inputs.
Do you have any specific case in your mind that you want me to talk about, like a cell phone or something, or?
Primarily cell phones and iPads.
Yeah, so now we're really venturing way off. Like, we've progressively been going farther from my expertise, and now we're really officially like way out of the neighborhood. So I don't know. I don't know really the first thing about kind of safety issues with electronics. I come from a cognitive science, so I got my PhD from the UCSD Cognitive Science Department. One of the more famous professors there is Ed Hutchins, who describes cognition as not something inside your head, but that's distributed on your piece of paper, right? That's part of your memory, is your piece of paper. It's distributed amongst other people. It's distributed into the instruments that we use every day. And so I think he would say, from his perspective, cognition has been highly, highly distributed already. The fact that we're using electronic devices may make us less directly social, but as far as affecting how we think, I think for him it would be like more of the same. We're already so technologized. I don't know. We're so heavily into technology, whether it's electronic or things we had in the past, that we were very much committed as a species to that pathway anyway. So I don't know what more I can say. As far as left and right sides of the brain, nothing just immediately comes to me off the top of my head. I'll think about it. Yeah, thanks for the question. Any other questions? Oh, one more.
Well, you're a little bit off there.
Yeah, since you're out there already.
know that in India,
Mm.
and in Hindu studies of psychology, there's often a mention of an altered state of mind, the
Yes.
supermind,
Yes.
the nirvana,
Mm-hmm.
other descriptions, in which the mind functions in a much higher cognitive state,
Yes.
processing state.
Mm-hmm.
Just speculative.
Uh-huh.
How do you think that would fit into the brain model
Right.
and the model that the mind is a secretion of the brain? Because that mind cannot be a secretion
Right.
of the same brain that's limited. So how would that fit into a much more limited brain?
Right. So do you know Sam Harris? Yeah, so Sam Harris is like an atheist scholar, and he's really interesting because he talks about the role of religion, but he also talks about stuff like he just came out with this book on Muslim Reformation. This like it doesn't. We're not going to talk about just what the religion is, the beliefs, and all that stuff. We're just going to talk about like where the fighting comes from and all that stuff. He also wrote a book just before this one that was about secular spirituality. So he's a neuroscientist, and he was interested where religious thought comes from. He also took a lot of drugs when he was younger, and he did a lot of meditation. And he has experienced altered states of mind, and he believes that it can be explained from the mind, and that it's not necessary that these experiences that we've chalked up to kind of religious or extra extra physical things, that they can be explained through physical means and explored through meditation or drugs or things of that nature. I think on the science side of things, I know there's a nice literature about like Zen Buddhism and meditation and neuroscience. So Jamie Pineda at UCSD studies that stuff and knows about that stuff. I don't know. One of the things I am interested in though is this idea of like hearing voices in your head and this misattribution of experiences that I feel like could easily be attributed to left and right sides of the brain. So having a right side of the brain that has voices and you misattribute, like the left side's like, I don't know where that's coming from. Something like that is more easily explainable to me. What's that? Yeah, it could be. I mean, yeah. So those types of things are a little bit closer to the things I know. Spiritual experience is so different, like you're saying. You just haven't read anything about it to really even start speculating. But I'm of the mind that, you read about it and there's stuff to learn. Yeah. Okay. Let me off the hook. I'm dying. Yeah, thanks. No, they're great questions. It's fun.
Thank you all for
Yeah.
the upcoming talk.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. There's more to go.
So just a quick update on the upcoming talks. As I said before, we normally do the workshop on the first Saturday of the month, which would be this Saturday. But this month it's been moved to the following Saturday. So our workshop is coming up on the 14th. And it's going to be, if any of you guys haven't been over to the science lab in the library yet, we also have 3D printers in there. And so this workshop is going to be kind of combining the biology and the 3D printers. And she's going to be teaching about using the 3D printers to actually print equipment and things that you can use in the biology lab, which she's been doing a lot of to make a lot of the equipment that we are using here. So she'll be talking about sort of the crossover of the 3D printing and the biology and the types of opportunities that can open up for anybody. 3D printers are also free to use by anybody in the library here. They also have a 3D printing lab in the library downtown. So in case you didn't know that, you can come in and check those out. And then the next talk will be by Dr. Cipollini. He's already mentioned a little bit about what that's going to be. But it will have a little bit different, definitely focus than what you talked about tonight. So, and that's also a little bit more directly related to kind of citizen science, which is a lot of what the wet lab is about, is trying to engage the general public in science in more of a meaningful way and actually encourage people to not only become science literate and understand and and learn about science, but also to be able to actively participate in science themselves. And you can do that in lots of different ways through online databases and through the lab here in the library and the wet lab facility downtown. So if anyone has any questions about the wet lab or anything else, let me know. And if you didn't get the email list, it's right here if you want to add your name and email. And the donations, I'll put up in front. Thank you for everyone who's already donated. And otherwise,